Today we're heading to Modern to try to build a deck that is completely useless and then force our opponent to play our deck with Shared Fate. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Against the Odds. So a few weeks ago, we had the special Against the Odds poll, and the two winning cards from those polls, one for Modern, one for Pioneer, you're going to see in a very special place in the future. Maybe it's already up by now. I don't know the exact timing of that video being released, but you will see those cards. However, one of the runners up from that poll, Shared Fate for Modern, is such a unique card that I just had to build around it. So today we're heading to Modern to play Sultai Shared Fate, and Shared Fate is one of the weirdest, most unique cards in the history of Magic. So let's talk about what this card does, jump into some games, and see if we can actually win by sharing fates with our opponent. So Shared Fate is this old Mirrodin enchantment that basically makes it so once it hits the battlefield, we play our opponent's deck and our opponent plays our deck. If a player would draw a card, instead they exile the top card of their opponent's library, and you can play the cards that are exiled with Shared Fate. So the theory of building around Shared Fate is hilarious. Our plan is to make our cards as useless for our opponent as possible. So once we play Shared Fate, they're going to be exiling useless cards from our deck that can't really win them the game, and we're theoretically going to be exiling really busted cards from our opponent's deck who didn't build for Shared Fate. So we're stealing their Ragavans, casting their Murktides, their Primeval Titans, whatever crazy things they have going on in their deck. Well, they're drawing nothingness from our deck. So how do you actually do this? How do you build a deck that is useless for your opponent, but beneficial for you? And we have a really sneaky mechanic for this with the no mana value suspend cards, Ancestral Vision, Profane Tutor, Crashing Footfalls. So these are cards that before we get Shared Fate down, we can suspend and get value from. Profane Tutor can find our Shared Fate. Ancestral Vision draws us into Shared Fate. Crashing Footfalls makes a bunch of rhinos. The sneaky part here is suspend only works from your hand. You can't suspend a card from exile. So once Shared Fate comes down, our opponent's going to be exiling these cards, and they can't do anything with them. They can't cast them, they can't suspend them, so they're literally drawing dead cards that they can't make use of, while we get to make use of them before Shared Fate. We also have As Foretold and also Yahenni's expertise to be able to cast these cards a little bit faster without suspending them. As Foretold is the one somewhat risky card in our deck. In theory, the way things can go wrong after Shared Fate is our opponent starts exiling cards from our deck. Eventually they exile As Foretold, and they play the As Foretold. That would let them start casting the Crashing Footfalls and Ancestral Visions and whatnot. Hopefully we kill them before it gets to that point. The upside As Foretold is this lets us cast all these no mana value cards right away. We can just play our As Foretold and Profane Tutor and tutor up Shared Fate, or Ancestral Visions, draw a bunch of cards. Yahenni's expertise kind of does the same thing, gives all creatures -3/-3, and also lets us cast a card mana value 3 or less from our hand without paying its mana cost. So another way to play our free spells. And that's also helped with one of the big challenges of Shared Fate. So the challenge of Shared Fate is getting it on the battlefield in a stable position. Sometimes what can happen is our opponent gets so far ahead in board or in their hand that we can play our Shared Fate, and our opponent essentially draws nothing for the rest of the game because our deck is so bad for them, but they can still win with what they already have on the battlefield. So a big chunk of our deck is dedicated to hopefully keeping the battlefield clear, like Yahenni's expertise, Damnation, Fatal Push, Go for the Throat. So hopefully we can sweep the board, have a stable board, play our Shared Fate. Our opponent's gonna have to play with our useless cards. We get to play with our good cards, and we beat our opponent down with their own cards. Otherwise, Utopia Sprawl, pretty useless for our opponents and just ramps us into our Shared Fate a little faster. Our mana base, there's one other sneaky trick here, actually two sneaky tricks in the mana base. One is Channel is another mechanic that only works from your hand. So we can play like Atwara, Beseju as removal. Our opponent, when they exile to Shared Fate, they can play it as a land, but they can't channel it. So it's another way we can add some removal to our deck that isn't going to blow up our Shared Fate. We want to make sure there's no cards in our deck that can destroy Shared Fate, because the worst case scenario is doing all this work to build a bad deck to make Shared Fate work, and then the opponent just blows it up. So we want to make sure there's nothing in our deck that can do that. The other sneaky part of the deck is Shared Fate requires us to have the right colors of mana to play our spells. So you see all the random triomes in the deck. The thinking is we're going to be exiling fetch lands probably from our opponent's deck, but they might not be in our colors. By playing the triomes, we can use our opponent's off-color fetches to fetch out of our deck and still have all the colors of mana we need to cast our opponent's spells. spells. As far as the sideboard, Inevitable Betrayal, probably my favorite card. If we run into like Archon of Cruelty, a Primeval Titan deck, we bring this in. It's basically a free bribery that we can cast with our As Foretold. A bunch more Besages for artifacts, a bunch of removals, some ways to fight through counters so our Shared Fate actually resolves some graveyard hate. And that is Shared Fate for Modern. That's our against the odds for this week. So let's jump into some games and see if we can win by playing our opponent's deck, essentially, and making them play our horrible deck. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap-up. Need some Magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Against the odds time, we are trying to share fate in Modern. I think we suspend the Ancestral here. Watery Grave, suspend Ancestral. So we have the Shared Fate. We need to get up to 5 mana in a relatively stable position. Besaju and Amulet. Oh god, okay. Sure. We might be dead. What do we draw? Oh, another Shared Fate. Okay, Shared Fate, yeah. I mean, we are a Shared Fate deck. We do want Shared Fate. Our fate this game, though, might be dying to a Primeval Titan on turn 3. Bounds land. Amulet. Oh god. It might be dying to a Primeval Titan on turn 2. That's a lot of extra land drops. Opponent untaps and picks up a land and plays a, oh my goodness, this draw. Plays a Grazer, Yeah, I'm starting to doubt that this Ancestral is coming off suspend. Seeming less likely. Opponent makes a mana. Oh my god almighty. All right. Assuming this is liquid metal coating, we will scoop it up. Chalice of the Void. Okay, that's also deadly. We draw. We take down Ancestral, not doing anything. Crashing Footfalls. I think we actually still scoop it up. There's, like, how do you... What? It's turn 2! How in the world do you beat turn 2 Karn the Great Creator? Like that? That is simply not a realistic thing for our deck to do. It's just not happening. And that was on the play, too. That was turn 2 Karn the Great Creator on the play. We're never beating that. And then it gets Chalice of the Void to shut down all of our free spells. That's just not, it's not going to happen. That is not ever going to happen. Well, this will keep. It's not good, but we can start with an Inquisition to get rid of an Amulet. So that's something. We have an As Foretold, so hopefully we draw some things to go with it. All right, well, take the Amulet. Our opponent does have a Ancient Stirrings to go digging for another Amulet. Besaju. Ancient Stirrings. Do they find an Amulet? They do, of course. Of course. All right, Island Go. Well, we tried. Well, at least I don't think we're going to share fate with this opponent, unfortunately, but we put up a fight. We made him discard an Amulet. Pretty unfortunate they just hit another one. Play a Forest. Play an As Foretold. Crashing Footfalls. Go. Our opponent does have another Besaju, so they can kill the As Foretold. This does, we'll see, this could matter. This actually could matter. So we get to get a land out of our deck. We need black mana for the Damnation. So technically this means we get to start sharing fate next turn. Unfortunately, our opponent has that Storm the Festival in hand. Our deck's pretty bad. Our deck is pretty bad. So we're going to play a Twara, go attacking with the Rhinos. And we're gonna see how our opponent likes our deck. Their deck's pretty busted, but what if they have to play our deck? All right, opponent, how do you like playing our deck? Come on, Shared Fate. You can do it. Maybe we are gonna share fate with this opponent. Lotus Field. My god. It's unfortunate they have this Storm the Festival in hand because that lets our opponent get cards out of their deck, which again is much better than our deck. Storm the Festival. Yeah, that's the problem. That lets them get cards from their deck. We know they have a Timeless Lotus. You know what we want? We want to draw Karn off of our opponent's deck. That would be the most ideal. All right, opponent gets a couple lands. They get to untap one of them. We draw a Golgari Rot Farm. Well, okay. Hit you down to 4 with our Rhinos. This actually kind of works, doesn't it? So Golgari Rot Farm, float a mana, pick up a Twara, suspend Ancestral, pass the turn. If our opponent plays Timeless Lotus, we can bounce it in response to the untap trigger. Utopia Sprawl, yep. Oh, that's from our deck, yep. How do you like our Utopia Sprawl, friend? Wow, that was like the one card they drew was another Storm the Festival? That's unfortunate. There was one card between when we saw our opponent's hand and when they started playing off our deck. Okay, how do we guarantee we win this game? They have a Timeless Lotus and a Bounce Land in hand. Another Lotus Field. Okay. Untaps, taps. Untaps, taps. They do have to sack. Timeless Lotus. So this is one we need to answer. In response, we bounce the Timeless Lotus. And I think that does it. Oh, yes! We did it. We did. I mean, we shared fate. We shared fate. I don't know how much our shared fate did that game. It gave our opponent a Utopia Sprawl, so I don't know if it actually did that much, but now our opponent's going to be on the play, though. Let's bring in one. Does Mystical Dispute even matter? Not really. Maybe none of this matters. Run it back. Well, we did it. That's a game. We won a game with Shared Fate on the Magic the Gathering battlefield. This hand's not, like, absurd. We'll see if they have the turn 1 Amulet, which they do not. All right, that's good news. From Catacombs, eh? Yeah, let's Catacombs, crack it, Schwamp, and Inquisition you. That is a Stone Whiff. Okay. Opponent's hand is 2 Goloses, an Emrakul, a Timeless Lotus, Urza Saga, Crumbling Vestige. That's a hand that's going to be busted. Oh, no. Oh, what a good draw for our opponent. Ancient Stirrings. Finds a Beseju. Okay, that could have been worse, I guess. Let's go for the throw. It's not looking too hot at the moment. Apparently they're not a Primeval Titan build. We could blow up the Urza Saga with a Beseju. Is that our best bet? Is that better than suspending Profane Tutor? They're going to be able to make a single construct. We can't let them get the Amulet. That's the big thing. I think we can suspend here. Let's suspend Profane Tutor. They're going to get to make a construct, and then we can blow up the Urza Saga. All right, Mycosynth Gardens for our opponent. Take down the tutor. This might be ramping our opponent into bad things. Well, Misty Rainforest, crack Misty Rainforest. Forest. Utopia Sprawl. On blue. Pass the turn. So when they go to make the construct, we blow up the Urza Saga. Opponent gets a forest and a construct. Hopefully they have not top decked a Karn. Crumbling Vestige. Karn for Chalice is the biggest blowout. All right, opponent. Passing. So we know Golos is coming next turn. We do seemingly get to tutor, though. What do we tutor for is the real question. All right, cast Profane Tutor. I don't think we can take Shared Fate because I don't think we can beat our opponent's hand. I mean, maybe we just take Damnation? Next turn, presumably, they play a Golos. I guess they could play Timeless Lotus. What we really need is Inevitable Betrayal, but we don't have a way to cast it yet. I think this is our best bet. We take As Foretold. Oh, we drew it! Oh my god, we drew it. Oh my god, we drew it. Oh my goodness. Okay, we play As Foretold. Wow. Inevitable Betrayal for free. Oh, there's only one Emrakul! And it's in our opponent's hand. All right, so we take a Golos, unfortunately. No, that is so unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. There's one Emrakul and it's in our opponent's hand. Opponent, Legend Rules, Goloses. I mean, we do have a Golos. That's a thing. I don't know what our Golos can get that's going to matter, but it is a thing. Oh, we wanted that Emrakul so bad. Opponent picks up Beseju. This Go for the Throat's looking pretty dead. A Beseju. Well, I mean, spin it to win it, right? I think. Spin your Golos. Play As Foretold. Wow. This is like, our Inevitable Betrayal plan is not working because our opponent's playing such bad threats. Well, take Azusa. Play Polluted Delta. Profane Tutor. Oh, I wish that Emrakul was in our opponent's deck. Are we just taking a land? That sounds ridiculous, but that might be the correct play. Because then we can Beseju something. How do we win this game? I guess a bunch of Crashing Footfalls? Well, take a Misty Rainforest. Play a Misty Rainforest. Oh, the Emrakul is taunting us. Opponent explores. Going to kill the Golos. Okay. Well, take another land out of the deck. Goes attacking. Well, I guess we block. We do need to draw something here. And opponent finds a Lotus Field. Sacks some lands. Well, tutoring up a land sort of backfired. All right, deck. All right, deck. Inquisition. Well, boom. Let's cast it. Take the Zeusa. Emrakul, Lotus, Golos, but we... how do we beat our opponent's hand? Yeah, Golos is actually like a big problem for Shared Fate because it's another way our opponent can play off of their deck. The whole idea of our deck is once we Shared Fate, our opponent has to use our deck that can't win. But if you have a Golos that can play off of your deck, that totally defeats the purpose. And they top deck in Urzus. Oh boy. Well, I guess there's something to be said for playing good cards in your deck. Really though, I'm salty that they have one Emrakul and it was randomly in their hand. Yeah, we can't beat this now. Oh, why did you keep the Emrakul hand, opponent? Why? Got a little ramp, got an As Foretold, nothing to cast with it yet. Got the Shared Fate. I guess As Foretold's probably the scariest card if they can't answer it. All right, opponent gonna take the Inquisition. Well, Forest and Utopia Sprawl on blue. Assuming we don't get Thought Seized or something, resolving As Foretold and drawing a free spell would be good. Triome A. Polluted Delta. Crack it. Grab a Swamp, and you know what? Maybe we just pass and cycle this Triome. What's the sense in running As Foretold into a likely counter for no reason? We can't even cast anything with it. So it's not like there's some big reward for getting it down now, so I think we just wait. I'm guessing our opponent's Death Shadowing. We'll see. If this is a shot coming into play untapped, 100% Death Shadow. Opponent's down to 13, and... Expressive Iteration. Okay. I mean, that's kind of good, right? That means, so we can cycle the Triome and probably actually resolve As Foretold, and then hopefully get down the Shared Fate, and then, okay, Blood Crypt, untapped. That would be the downside of holding onto the As Foretold. It could get Thought Seized. All right, Death Shadow. I mean, that is a scary, scary card. Well, cycle the Triome. We draw Profane Tutor and an Overgrown 2. Profane Tutor, so we can As Foretold Profane Tutor, but then we probably have to get a Fatal Push, which feels very sad. We could just Damnation, but then we don't have down the As Foretold. I guess we could let the Death Shadow live and tutor up something else, but that seems risky. Play As Foretold. Profane Tutor. Are we really just killing it? Oh, that's so bad. What's the other option? We could get a like Inquisition to try to make sure Shared Fate resolves or Damnation resolves. I mean, Ancestral, you know what? Oh. This is like when you have to tutor up a land in a game of Commander. It just feels so wrong, but I think we just have to do it. It's just like, once they untap with this, then it turns on their Stubborn Denials, and then it grows, and then we're dying, and we're like, oh, we should have just killed it. So I think we gotta just kill it, sadly, and then hope we draw into more free spells for our As Foretold. Fatal Push. Let's Overgrown Tomb tapped. I don't think we Shared Fate yet. Shared Fate getting 4 spike Stubborn Denial is like the most depressing. Watery Grave. Are you still playing it untapped? But this lets us leave up the Fatal Push that our opponent doesn't know about. So if they play a threat, we can Fatal Push it, hopefully find a land, and then Shared Fate. Opponent. Also, we will take any free spell. Anyone. We don't even care. We will take any of them. Opponent. Bloodstained Mire. Hitting all the lands. Discard spell would be fine. Like an Inquisition would be fine. Utopia Sprawl. Well, okay, Utopia Sprawl. Cast it with As Foretold. For free. Blue, I guess. And then, yeah, we're gonna do it. They could have an actual, like, hard counter, but Shared Fate. Oh, no, you have a hard counter? They do. All right. Opponent does not like the idea of playing with our deck. Cracks the Bloodstained Mire. I mean, the good news is we still do have 2 removal spells. So we're not in super immediate... Kroxa would be bad. But other than Kroxa, we're not in, like, super immediate danger of dying. Death Shadow and a land. Should we just cast the Fatal Push? Probably. It's free. Fatal Push the Death Shadow. Ugh. Fiend Death. Okay. Comes back bigger. Hopefully we draw something here. Please not a land. I mean, I think it's Damnation time. Oh, okay. We tried. Opponent, all the interaction in the world, and a 7/7 Death Shadow that's about to get even bigger. Blood Crypt. Untap down to 4. So this means we have exactly 1 turn to top deck something. Oh boy, it's a lot of disruption in our opponent's hand. Lot of disruption. Fiend Death and Stubborn Denial and Round in the Lock. Opponent just had every piece of interaction possible. Well, this is it. We top deck or we die. Misty, crack it. Gotta top deck something, and then we still need it to resolve. How about a Watery Grave? Doesn't really matter. All right, knock the top of the deck. We find Utopia Sprawl. All right. Yeah, Death Shadow's pretty big, pretty big. We tried to cast our Shared Fate. It didn't work because our opponent, all the counters in the world, but we got to that point at least. That's a step. That's a step in the right direction. We'll bring in the Veil of Summers. Betrayal's not good. Mystical Dispute could be okay, but it's not great. Damnation's like okay, but how do we actually resolve it? What would we cut's the real question. Maybe we cut the Utopia Sprawls, go on the slow plan. 2 Damnations, 2 Mystical Disputes. Yeah, it seems like a scary matchup. So many cheap counters. Classic 2015 Magic here. Remember when this was banned? Remember the early days of Modern where they actually just straight up banned Ancestral? So whatever year it came unbanned, when did it? I'm gonna have to look this up now. When was Ancestral unbanned? 2016. Opponent, very dirty and stupid monkey, Ragavan. Hooray. Fatal Push. Well, okay, we will keep suspending Ancestrals as our opponent snowballs. You can see a little difference in the power level. Opponent, Ragavan, it's basically just like an Ancestral that happens every turn. Maybe even better than that. Opponent gets in with the stupid monkey. The good news is we are naturally Ragavan resilient because our deck is full of bad cards. That's the gimmick of Shared Fate. So what are you gonna steal? What are you gonna steal, Ragavan? From our horrible deck? Ancestral, take it out, take it down. We draw a Schwamp. Well, play a Schwamp and pass the turn. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to kill the monkey though. I don't know if we've ever beat a deck where we got hit by Ragavan twice. I don't think it's possible. Opponent gets in with the monkey. Opponent steals another land. Well, we didn't really want to draw the land, so I guess that's something. Well, take down Ancestrals. There's no way these Ancestrals are resolving. Spara's Headquarters. Well, play Spara's Headquarters. I mean, we can slam a Shared Fate. There's like, our defense plan of Mystical Dispute doesn't look very good because our opponent has all these Ragavan treasures. So because of the stupid monkey, they're going to pretty easily be able to pay for a Mystical Dispute. So it's, we're hoping for some miracles. We do get our first Ancestral next turn. So our opponent will have to spend a little mana to counter that. Opponent, Watery Grave, down to 12. Brazen Borrower. We're gonna have to resolve this damn. Ragavan is such a absolutely busted Magic card. Goes attacking. We drop to 10. Our opponent, like, they're not gonna steal good cards from our deck, but just these treasures every turn are. And they steal a good card from our deck. Oh, that's actually one of the cards that they can actually use from exile. Our deck is built to be useless, and our opponent, the Ragavan, found a way to make it useful. And I think that does it. Stupid monkey. Ancestral, our opponent counters. Damnation, our opponent counters. Opponent does not want to share fates with us. Opponent passes. Well, okay. Take down Ancestral. Haha, opponent. How about letting us draw 3 cards? How do you feel about that? Deck full of counters. What do you say? What do you say, monkey? Be kind. Counter spell. Well, I mean, play the land, crack that. This isn't going to work, but there's no reason to not try it. Boom. Watery Grave. Second black source. This is just straight up. I mean, this is what happens when Ragavan lives. This is like literally it. Like, this is just a Ragavan win. If Ragavan hits you twice, you don't win. And we saw that. Like, it made 3 treasures, which allowed our opponent to have 2 counter spells up this turn. It also hit an Inquisition, which let them take the counter spell, which would have countered back this counter spell to resolve the Damnation. So sometimes your opponent plays a dirty monkey and it just wins the game. I mean, it is the ultimate removal check, right? Like, it does die to things, but if it doesn't die, is there a better 1-drop? Is there even a debate at this point? Is there a debate? Is there any 1-drop in the history of Magic that is better than Ragavan? I guess you can argue Mana Dorks, but outside of like Mana Dorks, maybe we gotta do a 1-drop tier list. I'm curious if we can even make arguments for anything being better than Ragavan. That one wasn't even close. We don't have any way to cast our free spells. I guess we can just suspend them. Well, let's Breeding Pool. Untapped. Putting Utopia Sprawl in non-basic. Risky, but necessary? Utopia Sprawl on black. I mean, our best draw by a million miles is as foretold. That lets us tutor up the Shared Fate. Otherwise, I guess we... Ooh. What are we doing, merfolk? Humans? Please not giant. Dryad, that's basically the same as, oh, and the amulet. How do we play against this deck all the time? Well, there's a Shared Fate. Play the land. Inquisition you. Oh, what a hand. What a hand. Oh, and they even have the Titan 2, golly gee. This hand seems just unbeatable. They do only have one land, but their deck has many lands. 2 amulets. I mean, I guess we take the Dryad and suspend a Footfalls. Go. Yeah, our opponent's hand is so good. It's so good that I don't think Shared Fate beats them. Like, I think they can just beat us with what's currently in their hand. Amulet. Simic Growth Chamber. Taps and untaps, taps and untaps. Arboreal Grazer. Yeah, alright, they get to play Primeval Titan, yep. Yeah, this deck's kind of ridiculous. Well, Inevitable Betrayal in. Beseju's in. Go down, Fatal Pushes. Run it like that. So I think our hope is to steal the Primeval Titan. That's our sweet, sweet tag. Can we Inevitable Betrayal of Primeval Titan? We get to play first. I mean, we're gonna try this. We have As Foretold and Inevitable Betrayal. We don't have ramp to get it down a turn early, but I mean, show us a Primeval Titan. See how nutty our opponent. We have the Shared Fate as well. Well, Triumph. I mean, this was mostly tech for Murktide, or mostly tech for Indomitable Creativity, but stealing a Primeval Titan seems fine. Forest for our opponent. Arboreal Grazer. All right, off to the fast start. Sure. Oh boy, that Utopia Sprawl. Would have been so sweet last turn. Well, Utopia Sprawl on black. Yeah, it would have been amazing last turn. We're still not going to complain about it, I guess. Although, yeah, we would have had a Primeval Titan this turn if we had had the Utopia Sprawl one turn earlier. Let's see if stealing a Primeval Titan is even enough. It's possible we do that and just still die. Opponent, Dryad, extra land drops. No Amulet this time is something at least. That's good news. Well, we will play As Foretold. Inevitable Betrayal. So worst case, we get a Primeval Titan. Best case, they have like a random, Cultivator Colossus. I mean, we probably just take Primeval Titan, right? Yeah, let's just take Prime Time. Take Primeval Titan, grab a couple lands. Verdant Catacombs, Misty Rainforest. Play another Misty Rainforest. Pass the turn. Okay, who's the Primetime deck now, opponent? Who's the Primetime deck now? And then we can Shared Fate to make our opponent play off of our deck. What are they pacting for? Tireless Tracker, sure. Wait, does our opponent die to their pact? They must have drawn a land, right? Wait, did they just kill themselves? Did our opponent not think this? Oh, they do have it. Turn Timber, okay. I don't know why they played it untapped. Oh, I guess they don't have Amulet. That makes sense. All right, Turn Timber. Clue. I mean, another Inevitable Betrayal would be the best. I don't know why your opponent's trying. I don't understand what's going on here. Okay, opponent gets a Clue. How did they miss their land drop last turn and then draw 2 lands? Passing. Well, Misty Rainforest, crack it, Triumph, upkeep, do a little deck thinning, Catacombs, grab a Swamp, and then Misty, grab an Island. Okay, let's see what we draw. Ancestral. Well, I mean, we're definitely attacking with the Primeval Titan. Go to combat, hit you with Primeval Titan. Yes, we will grab lands. I guess we just go 2 more fetches. Opponent also has to spend their turn paying for the pact, remember. Opponent blocks. Okay. Well, let's Profane Tutor. Profane Tutor with As Foretold. Take another Betrayal. And then, yeah, it's time. The time has come. Shared Fate. And opponent. Now you get to play off of our deck, which has way fewer Primeval Titans than yours. Just saying. Okay. All right, let's share our fates about it. Let's see how you enjoy playing our horrible, horrible deck. So the only thing we really don't want our opponent to draw is As Foretold. That's the one card they can draw that's actually relevant. Opponent gonna pay the Pact. Sure. I mean, assuming our As Foretold lives, we get to Betrayal again. Shared Fate is such a hilarious card. Maybe Inevitable Betrayal's good now. If a lot of people are playing Creativity with Archons and playing Amulet Titan, maybe Betrayal's just good. Opponent. I mean, we don't know what's in our opponent's hand, so they could have the Primeval Titan in hand. That's not impossible. Okay, one of their cards in hand is a Abriel Grazer. Does not put a land into play. Getting frisky. Hits us for 6. Well, we drop down to 11. Yeah, let's go back to thinning the deck. I don't think we have more basics to get, do we? Yeah, back to deck thinning. We still get to fetch from our deck. Breeding Pool tapped. Crack the Misty down to 9. Overgrown Tomb tapped. As Foretold ticks up. Castle Garenbrig. Yeah, I think we just Betrayal. Oh no, do they have a Primeval Titan in hand? How did they get a Titan? All right, Cultivator Colossus. Put a land into play. No more lands. Oh no, if they have a Primetime, we die. How did they find a Primeval Titan? We saw their hand, and they did not have a Primeval Titan for sure. Wow, are we gonna steal Primetime and Cultivator Colossus and lose? It is starting to seem that way. Because they just get Valakuts, right? They can just Valakut, they have the Dryad out. So if they do have Primetime in hand, we just lose to Valakut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they got the mana. Or they're only playing 3 Primeval Titans. That sounds crazy, but... All right, opponent does not have a Primeval Titan. They must only have 3. Cracks the clue. I mean, this is fine because they're drawing from our deck. So unless they hit exactly as foretold, none of this does anything. They can't even draw into Valakut because they can only draw from our deck. So all these tireless tracker activation and opponent scoops up, we did it. We shared fated them. Okay, so it's possible to win. It's possible to win with our ridiculously janky deck. All right, you know what? I think we go up Damnations, go down Yahenni's Expertise. That does give us less ways to cast our free spells, but Yahenni's Expertise just doesn't kill enough. Doesn't kill Dryad, doesn't kill Primetime. We'll see how fast our opponent's hand is. This hand is the kind of hand we want, minus the fact that we can't really ramp. Oh, that's what we were afraid of. There's the Amulet. Triumph go. We have the Damnation, but if our opponent goes off with Amulet, that's not enough. The best draws with our opponent's deck are so good. Oh no. Oh no. The best draws with our opponent's deck often involve 2 Amulets. That's just so, like, our opponent might have a turn 2 Primeval Titan, and we're not beating that. Shared Fate, wow. 2 Amulets, but they don't play the land? Well, that's Verdant Catacombs, thin the deck. Maybe they just had nothing to do with the mana, so what's the point? Yeah, I feel like this turn's gonna go very badly for us. Well, it's not a bounce land at least. Untaps, taps, untaps. And Dryad. Turn Timber. Okay. Come on, Inevitable Betrayal. That is the draw we want to see here. We will take a Watery Grave. We definitely want black, right? Black, blue. Yeah, let's take Watery Grave. Watery Grave tapped. Oh, I wish we had a way to get rid of these amulets. Opponent passes. Crashing Footfalls. Well, play the island. Play as foretold. Do we just Rhino? Probably. Actually, do we Ancestral? And then next turn we could hardcast Damnation. Yeah, I think we actually Ancestral. Let's Ancestral, draw some cards. It's a little awkward to make Rhinos and then Damnation them away the next turn. All right, no Primetimes, no Primetimes. Primetime with double Amulets, just GG. Although it didn't seem like our opponent had a bounce land based on how their last turn went. Okay, well, either they were slow rolling it or they drew it, one or the other. Well, okay. Odds of us living this turn dropping dramatically. A ridiculous amount of mana with a bounce land. Picks it up. Does it again. So our only hope is they don't have a payoff, basically. If they have a Primetime or a Cultivator Colossus with double Amulet, I don't even think our Damnations matter. Like, I think they just win right now. I wish I could have seen our opponent's hand, because the way they played their lands, it didn't seem like they had the bounce land, but, well, let's see what finisher will kill us. I mean, we did get him once. We did get him once with the Shared Fate and the Inevitable Betrayal. Colossus probably makes like 100 mana. Draws 100 cards. Wow, did it fizzle? Oh, that is as good as it could go for us. So our opponent did not have any lands and they top decked the Rot Farm. Well, we'll see what the rest of their cards are. Yeah, opponent, tapping and untapping, tapping and untapping. Even just 7 mana put the Rot Farm back into... Summoner's Pact to get a Primeval Titan. Our opponent might have got a little lucky. They might have got a little lucky to top deck that Rot Farm. Or maybe they were unlucky to not have it. They kept the greedy, like, we have 2 amulets but don't have the bounce land hand, and then they, just in time drew the bounce land. Yeah, now that there's a Primeval Titan, we just lose, right? So Valakut, Trample and Haste. So they give Primeval Titan haste and trample. Not that haste. Trample wouldn't matter anyway. And they can't give this haste. But I think we still just die. We were actually close. And we did get him in game 2. So we actually got to see a win. But yeah, now that there's a Valakut and a Dryad, that burns us out, right? They should be able to just get the other Valakut, and that's lethal. Ugh. All the Valakuts. All right. That's what happens when your opponent draws 2 amulets. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 8. Yeah, we're super dead. Boo. Boo, 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 boo. Amulet. Pretty busted. Pretty busted. We are mulliganing. We're trying to share some fate with our opponent. Opponents don't ever want to share fate with us for some reason. Boy, we need a way to cast these free spells. Let's put Profane Tutor to the bottom. This is suspend for 2. So I think what we do, let's just Misty Rainforest, crack Misty Rainforest, get a Forest, Utopia Sprawl, black. We might suspend this Profane Tutor next turn. We have the shared fate already, so we need to Profane Tutor, not Ragavan. Okay, Goblin Guide, that's better than Ragavan, slightly. Opponent gets and hits us. How about an As Foretold on top? Another Profane Tutor. Well, suspend Profane Tutor. Vern Catacombs. Pass the turn. Can we live long enough? We really want As Foretold. As Foretold to make Rhinos would at least buy us a little time to get Shared Fate down, and then Shared Fate, if we can beat what's in our opponent's hand. Swift Spear, yeah. Oh my god, and another Swift Spear, okay. How about a Sweeper? I guess we need a land and a Sweeper. So Goblin Guide, give us a land. Shared Fate, well, sorry, Shared Fate. Shuffle that away. We definitely need black. Watery Grave. How about an As Foretold to make Rhinos to let us live for a minute? If we make Rhinos, I think we can live until we get to Shared Fate. Breeding Pool. Now I think we're probably dead. That's a lot of 1-drops. Sacred Foundry. Yeah, our burn opponent does not want to share our fate. Swings with the crew. Inquisition of Kozilek. And here comes the burn. Lightning Helix. Down to 9. Down to... Like, we can tutor up a Wrath, but it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, so what we can do, I don't think this saves us, because our opponent's just dealt so much damage, but we Profane Tutor for Yahenni's Expertise. That As Foretold would have been nice last turn. We Yahenni's Expertise to sweep the board, but at 3, we're just dead to any burn spell. We put As Foretold into play. And then As Foretold lets us cast Rhinos. But we need our opponent to not have a single Lightning Bolt in hand, which is asking for a lot. 2 mana, Searing Blaze. Well, that's a Lightning Bolt. All right, a little too fast. Oh, Shared Fate does beat this deck if we can get to it, but can we get to it? We don't really have much of a sideboard plan. Betrayal, no. Dispute, not good. I guess we could bring it in. What do we have that's bad? I mean, I guess we don't have anything that's straight up bad. I think we actually just run it back. Let's just run it back. Well, now we know what our opponent's doing. We want to try to keep a hand that is okay against burn, which probably means a little bit of early interaction. We need a little bit of early interaction to not just get run over. Shared Fate, like, if we can stabilize, Shared Fate does do it. I mean, I guess that's true in most matchups, but if we can stabilize, Shared Fate will just lock them out of the game without being able to kill us. I mean, we need one more land, but this hand's pretty good. So we can Fatal Push our opponent's first threat, As Foretold. Suspends a Rift Bolt. Okay. Yeah, I think we don't even crack. Let's just untap, draw more Fatal Pushes. All right, pass the turn. Oh no, is this gonna be the no creature hand? After last game, we just got like super run over by creatures. It's the all burn spell hand. Opponent Rift Bolts us. Yeah, we would really love to draw land. Suspends a Rift Bolt. Suspends another Rift Bolt. All right, well, crack a Misty. Triome. Untap. Not a land. This hand would have been like so good against our opponent's last draw. Not so good against this draw where our opponent has apparently just drawn all lightning bolts and 0 creatures. Oh, and then we missed a land. If we had drawn a land here and been able to start like rhinoing and ancestral visioning, we'd have a shot. Opponent. Lava Spike. Yeah, I mean, we can't even... Oh, the fatal pushes would have been so good last game. In this game, they are exactly the opposite. They would have been spectacular last game. This game, they are the opposite of spectacular. Opponent, gonna cast a couple burn spells. That's another lightning bolt and another lightning bolt. I mean, sometimes your opponent's hand is 6 lightning bolts and you're on a bunch of fatal pushes. Oh, all right. I mean, we get to suspend an Ancestral and a Profane Tutor. That's something. No big payoffs at the moment. Well, Misty and Crack It. Take a Watery Grave untapped and suspend Ancestral. Go. Spire Bluff. Annoying. Well, take down Ancestral. I'll play a Forest. Suspend Profane Tutor past the turn. Opponent going to draw some cards with Expressive Iteration. Pretty good card. Finds a land, plays a land, gets in for 1. Sure. Well, take down our stuff. Crashing Footfall. I don't think we want to suspend that one. Let's Verdant Catacombs, Crack It. Get a Forest. Utopia Sprawl. Black. I'm surprised our opponent didn't cast that during their turn. That would have triggered their Ledger Shredder. Interesting. Well, if our opponent plays a big Murktide, Etwara is like not the worst answer. Opponent gets in with Ledger Shredder. Wouldn't mind hitting an Inquisition to clear the way for some of these suspend spells. Let's cycle. More Utopia Sprawls. Well, take our stuff down. Profane Tutor. Cast it. Wow, that resolves. Okay. I mean, long term, the goal is to Shared Fate. Next turn, Ancestral comes down. Do we even want to cast anything this turn? Probably not, because then we just trigger Ledger Shredder. There's probably an argument to just taking like a Fatal Push and killing this Ledger Shredder. We do want the board to be clear. Yeah, let's take Fatal Push. As weird as that sounds. We draw the Shared Fate anyway. Okay, that is good news. That is good news. We don't want to trigger this. We're going to kill the Ledger Shredder during our opponent's turn. I think we Breeding Pool untapped past the turn. So now we can kill the Ledger Shredder. And then if our opponent plays Murktide, we can Etwara it. Untap, draw some cards, hopefully Shared Fate. Well, we'll take the 1 for now. All right, well, let's Fatal Push Ledger Shredder. Untap. Here comes Ancestral. Draw some cards. We gotta go for it. There's no not going for it. We could get Spell Pierced. All right, let's Utopia Sprawl on blue. Verdant Catacombs, Shared Fate. Come on. Oh no, there is a Spell Pierce. Okay. Well, we have another one in hand. So we're not just done. Bolts are they just gonna burn us out? Bolts are phased down to 8. Huge Murktide Regent. Crack this, thin the deck. Now we can't. Now we can't Shared Fate because we died to Murktide. Utopia Sprawl on black. Suspend Profane Tutor. Pass the turn. So we can Etwara the Murktide. All right, here comes the attack. Well, we got to bounce it or we die. So Etwara, bounce it. Ragavan passes. What do we draw? Well, 1, play as foretold. Do we have to Damnation? Can we Shared Fate? Well, let's Crashing Footfalls. Oh, we want the Shared Fate so badly. Still gets countered, though. I mean, we came here to play Shared Fate, so we gotta play it. Shared Fate. Oh, God dang it again. Okay. How do we keep getting our Shared Fate hit by stupid Spell Pierce every time? Expressive Iteration, pretty busted. Plays a land, has Unholy Heat, gets in with a Ragavan. Well, the fun never ends. Opponent gets in, hits us. Makes a treasure, steals nothing of note. Dragon Rage Channeler. Whiffs. So, okay, we can Damnation the board. Profane Tutor a Shared Fate, but how do we avoid dying to Murktide and such, which we know is in our opponent's hand? So here comes Profane Tutor. Cast Profane Tutor. Are we better off taking Ancestral? Ancestral and try to draw into Shared Fate, or at least run into more action? That's probably our best bet, because, so if we just get Shared Fate, we Wrath, we Shared Fate, but then our opponent just plays a big Murktide, and we don't have many outs, so I think we have to take Ancestral. Take up the As Foretold. Well, okay. Cast Ancestral. Draw some cards. Damnation. Inquisition. Take the Bolt. Overgrown Tomb tapped. Still not sure we can beat the Murktide. We'll see. Opponent draws a Bobble. Oh, we're so close. We are so close to actually locking this up against the best deck in the format. Here comes the huge Murktide. Our opponent can also flash in the Brazen Borrower. Yup. So opponent gets an 8/8. We need this Ancestral to be very good. Opponent draws a card. We take up As Foretold. We draw. From Catacombs thin the deck. We need hit an answer here or we die. Wow, we have done a very good job of thinning our deck. I will give us credit for that. Ancestral. Yahenni's Expertise doesn't do it. Okay, Yahenni's Expertise. Cast another Ancestral. Damnation. And pass the turn. Can flash in the Brazen Borrower. That can hit us to 1. So we're dead to a Bolt. Oh my goodness, we're so close. Hits us down to 1. Opponent passes. Take up As Foretold. Inquisition. Inquisition you. Opponent counters it. Play an island. Cycle the Triome. Draw an As Foretold. Profane Tutor. But we can't take the Shared Fate or we die, right? Oh, we can't trigger Revolt to Fatal Push the Brazen Borrower. So we can't take Shared Fate or else we just die to the, wow, we are like, oh, so incredibly close. So, I mean, I guess we have to take Go for the Throat. We kind of want that for Murktide. Maybe we take Yahenni's Expertise. We have no way to, if we could only trigger Revolt, but we're at 1. So even a fetch land, wow, so close. So I guess we take Yahenni's Expertise. We play it to kill the Murktide. Play another As Foretold. Pass the turn. I mean, that is the challenge of Shared Fate. We need to get it on the battlefield and we need to be stable. Those 2 Spell Pierces got us pretty good. Opponent runs out of Dress Down, draws a card. Scalding Tarn. Well, these are some big draws. These are some big draws. All right, take up the As Foretold. What do we find? Shared Fate, please. Profane Tutor. Okay, well, that could work. Cast Profane Tutor. Shared Fate. Please tell me you can't counter this. Shared Fate. Yes! We did it at 1 life. Oh, what a game. Okay, I'm actually feeling kind of good about where we're at now because I don't think our opponent can beat us with our deck. That's the whole point of this, is that they shouldn't be able to. So unless they have something in their hand, which it didn't seem like they did, or they would have played it, we just have to beat our opponent with their deck, which can theoretically win the game because it's Murktide and Murktide's busted. And the As Foretold's Snow-Covered Island. I don't even think we play that. Let's just pass. I think it's better to bluff that we have something good there. Our opponent, how would you like to draw a card off the top of our deck? We did it. Opponent. So we can play cards like Beseiju because you can't channel from exile. So that's the gimmick. Also with these suspend cards, like you can't suspend from exile. So even though they're threats, let's cast a Dress Down to draw another card. Okay, well, Counterspell's actually good. We do need to find a threat, though. Like, right now we are behind on cards. So the concern is, if we don't find a threat, we could mill out Misty Rainforest, owned by us. So far, our deck hasn't been too helpful for our Murktide opponent. Take up. We draw Bolt. Okay. We do need red mana eventually. Do we have Triomes left? We cycled our Triomes. Opponent. Another land from our deck. I mean, I think we will win this. Unless if there's no red mana in our opponent's deck, that could be, well, no, because we can cast the Bobble. Let's look at our opponent's deck, which we are drawing from. Consider, Snow-Covered Island. Pass the turn. Yeah, we can cast stuff for free with As Foretold, so the colors don't really matter here. The only question is, can we kill our opponent before we run out of cards? Opponent, Misty Rainforest. Well, let's consider, put on top. We're drawing from our opponent's deck anyway. We draw another Spell Pierce. What, do you not play creatures? Unholy, my god. They gotta all just be at the bottom, right? We've only seen 1 Ragavan, 1 Dragon Rage Channeler, 1 Ledger Shredder, 1 Murktide, 1 Brazen Bar. Like, the bottom of our opponent deck has to just be solid creatures. Oh, there you go. You're actually making use of our deck, opponent. Nice Utopia Sprawl. I think we're fine. I think this ends with us winning. It better end with us winning or I'm gonna cry. Expressive Iteration. That's not very good because it's our library. And our library is not really built to be good for us. I mean, I guess we could try to dig for a Crashing Footfall. I'm a little worried about milling ourselves out even faster though. Shared Fates all around. Yeah, a second Shared Fate just doesn't actually change anything. Oh, not except we have to choose which one to use. Polluted Delta. Should we Expressive Iteration? In theory, we have a bunch of Crashing Footfalls. Little bit risky. Inquisition to hand. Land bottom. As Foretold exiled. Yeah, that didn't do much. Well, let's Inquisition you. Just to make double, triple sure. Just to land. I'm actually like becoming a little nervous. We only have 10 cards left. Where are our opponent's creatures? If we don't actually hit a threat, there is an actual concern that we do all this, hard lock our opponent, and still lose because we can't draw a threat. We need a Murktide. We just need a Murktide. A Tuara. Well, we will play it. 9 cards left. What are the chances? What are the chances of opponent passes? Wait, what if we try the other Shared Fate? Does that solve our problems? Take up the Asfertolds. How about that Shared Fate? Is that a lucky Shared Fate? Hey, it's Ragavad. Can we dash it? We don't have red mana still, but we will play it. So that's a threat. That's a threat. We did it. All right, cast the Ragavad. Pass the turn. Please tell me you can't kill it. We will use a counterspell. Fatal Push. Counterspell it. Opponent untaps. Come on, Ragavan. We need you to live, buddy. Never wanted the stupid monkey to live more. All right, opponent. I'll take up the Asfertolds. Hopefully they don't have more removal exiled. Yeah, this was a lucky Shared Fate. Let's use the lucky one again. Attack with stupid monkey. Hit ya, make a treasure. Do we even play it? That puts us so close to dead. Although hitting a Crashing Footfalls would be really good. Like hitting a Crashing Footfalls is like our best hit. That's a way we can actually win. This is gonna put us to 5 cards in our library. So, all right, Expressive Iteration. We need the Crashing Footfalls. Crashing Footfalls to hand, land bottom, land wherever. Cast the Crashing Footfalls. All right. The damnations are gone. I think this lets us be just fast enough. Hilariously, we had to go back to drawing from our deck to find a finisher because we were hitting all these just random spells from our opponent. All right, there goes the go for the throw. Wow, they didn't use it on the monkey. They're definitely trying to mill us out. As foretold, that doesn't actually matter. That does actually matter. That does matter. I mean, it's fine because we have these unholy heats. So it is fine, although that is awkward. All right, take up the As Fortolds. Lucky Shared Fate. Finds a bauble. Play the bauble, crack it, see what's on top. Polluted Delta, not helpful. There's card types, right? Instant, sorcery, land, Shared Fate, enchantment. Okay, so kill a rhino, hit you down to 10, exile the land that we didn't want anyway, pass the turn, ticks up. Draw with the lucky Shared Fate. There's the Murktide, finally. There is one more Crashing Footfalls floating around. Triome, Footfalls, okay. Fatal Push. Kill the Rhino. Lucky Shared Fate. Murktide Regent. Max it out. Go to combat. Hit you with the Rhino. All right, opponent's gonna block. I mean, I think we're good, right? The problem is I don't know if we can win this match without timing out, but we did get the Shared Fate win against literally the best deck in the format. I guess the As Foretold letting our opponent cast our free spells like a little annoying with Crashing Footfalls. That is a way they can actually put a thing on the battlefield. Fatal Pushes Ragavan. Sure, that doesn't actually matter. I don't believe our deck has any ways of killing Murktide left. And we can dash a Ragavan now, and we have a Lightning Bolt. All right, opponent. The treasures let us dash with the stupid monkey. Oh, wow, we're gonna win. Lucky Shared Fate. 2 cards left in the deck. Treasure. Oh, we hit a counter spell too. Dash the monkey. Go to combat. Hit you for 10. We did it. 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 Opponent. Yes. I mean, there's no way we're winning this match without timing out, but we just sure faded him. We did it. We actually
We actually shared fate with them.
So what do we learn this week about shared fate in Modern? So that last match we went on to lose, so we didn't end up winning it. We just didn't have enough time to actually reasonably win after how long that first game went. Although the first game of that match was our best shared fate game by far. So overall, we did not manage to win a match with shared fate. We won a bunch of games, which was pretty sweet. But shared fate is just, it's a really, really tough card. Like, the big problem, which we saw again and again, is shared fate really requires you to be stable by the time it comes down. And we saw some of the games where we'd have a shared fate, but our opponent would have like a handful of Primeval Titans and Goloses and things like that. So even sticking the shared fate and assuming our opponent doesn't get to draw a card for the rest of the game because they're drawing our horrible cards, that's kind of still fine for them because they can win with what they already have in hand around the battlefield. So the challenge of cleaning out your opponent's hand, cleaning up their battlefield, and then sticking shared fate, that's really, really challenging to actually pull off against most decks. To resolve this 5-mana enchantment while also not being behind on the battlefield, the plan of using the free spells, I think actually worked pretty well. In the past, we played shared fate once before, and the idea was to not play any win conditions. So once you got a shared fate down, if you were stable, the opponent just couldn't win the game. Having like Crashing Footfalls, though, is really sweet. That gives us a way that we can play creatures, but our opponent still mostly can't play them. I do wonder about the As Foretold plan. Like, it worked out. We never really got punished. Even that last game where our opponent actually did draw the As Foretold and cast a Crashing Footfalls, we still end up winning it. It is a little bit awkward that it's not the full hard lock. There is a card our opponent can draw eventually to start casting spells, but I think it's still worth it because without As Foretold, our deck is just so slow. We really need to be able to like Profane Tutor, find Shared Fate, and Ancestral Visions to draw removal to clean up the board before we Shared Fate. So I think it's worth the risk, even if it does turn our lock into like a somewhat soft lock instead of the full hard lock. So Shared Fate, it's hilarious, it's definitely unique, but not very good in actually winning matches. So that is Shared Fate. That's Better Against the Odds for this week. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed all the losses and a couple of really sweet wins, and I will talk to you soon.